to conclude our show this week, I'm delighted to say that we are joined by Yannick Plassiar. Bonjour et bienvenue, Yannick. And you're going to talk to us about your Android journey. So when did you get started with Android?
Hi, everyone, and thanks, Ed and Warren and everyone who invited me on this show. So we're really delighted to be here tonight or today, depends on when you are listening this. So when I started my Android journey, it was like ages, if I can say that. My first Android device was on ice cream sandwich. So Android 4.0. If I'm correct. It was the first generation of Google Nexus 7 tablets, which was on Android 4.0. And the fun fact of this is it was the very first device which was accessible for Android perspective, but you didn't have any gestures available. So the only thing we could do is just take our finger from the screen from one part to another and let's say guess what there is under the finger and then double tap to activate. But there were no gestures, no way to navigate by specific granularity and so on. So there was a very beginning of the TalkBack screen reader, actually.
Excellent. And what was your first phone? I had the Nexus 4, so I remember the LG Nexus range fairly well. But what did you do phone-wise?
My very first phone, well, I made an assumption when searching for an Android phone. I thought that Google was the best choice, I would say, to have the most accessible experience on Android. So I started with the Samsung Galaxy Nexus, which was part of the Nexus program, which came with Android 4.1. It was Jelly Bean. And then I switched to the Nexus quite, well, I switched quite quickly on the Nexus 4, the LG Nexus 4, which was one of my most favorite phone ever, to be honest. And I kept it quite a long time of Nexus 4.
And where did you go next? Take us through your various phones to the present day.
Okay, so next, because of my French podcast and so on, I make lots of switch from Android to iOS, to Android to iOS, back to Android, etc., etc., and sometimes both at the same time. But on the Android side, from the LG Nexus 4, I get to Nexus 5, then Nexus 5X, and then there was a long pause from the Nexus part because the Google Pixel, which was a very interesting phone, was not available in France. Google decided not to make it available, so I had to change from brand, and I tried the OnePlus. So I had a OnePlus 5, which was a great phone, and then I had, and I still have, a OnePlus 6, which is my backup phone. It tend to be like very uncomfortable to use because it has dropped, and the screen is kind of broken. There's lots of things which are not available to do anymore because the gesture layer part of the screen is kind of broken, but still it kind of work, and I can sometimes use it to do some calls and so on. So it's really my last changed backup phone. So, and then after the OnePlus 6, I switched a few weeks ago to a Pixel 4a, and that's my daily driver actually right now.
And what's the 4a like?
The 4a is like, well, it turned to show me that I was kind of correct saying that the most accessible experience is using a Google phone with Google applications and the Google experience from top to bottom, if I can say that. Applications are very accessible. The phone itself is quite fast, although it's not very latest Qualcomm 8 series processor, but still, I'm quite impressed by the smoothness of the overall interface and the overall OS. It seems that Google made lots of optimizations here and there to ensure that daily activities are are quite fast and easy to do without waiting for loading screens and so on. So I'm really happy to have this phone, although it's not a long time since I'm using it. One of the most thing I like on this is the sound. Although lots of YouTube channels and reviews say that the Pixel sound is not the best of every sound ever, but still I think that there is kind of lots of mediums and I won't say lots of bass, it would be lying, but it has some kind of bass sound which make it really good to hear when you are listening to an audiobook, for example, or podcast or something. Of course, not music, but some talking. It's really nice to have it listening without having to plug headphones or to plug to a Bluetooth speaker or so on and so on.
That's good. Yannick, I also have the Pixel 4a, and it's a good phone. It's absolutely a good phone. So if one is looking into buying one, if you can't afford the 4a 5G, then this would definitely be one to get. It's what $349, and now
Something
and
like that,
then
yeah.
you find
Mm.
it for like $300, 50 bucks off. So it's a good phone to have. It's a joy to have. I have mine, and I think I'm going to be pulling the thing, playing with it more. But it's a good phone. Of course, it's all plastic. So if you don't like plastic, then you don't want to go with it.
Yeah, sure. The main materials used are, it seems to be like cheaper. Of course, it's a cheaper phone than flagships. So you don't have back glasses for the back the rear of the phone, etc. It's more plastic. And something I didn't mention and which made me go back to Pixel was that with Pixel 4 and Pixel 4a and Pixel 5, Google decided to bring back the fingerprint sensor, and that's one of the I would say the best things they would do to a phone to me. I don't like. I tried on the OnePlus series with my OnePlus 6, which still have a fingerprint sensor. I tried the face unlock, which is kind of like a face ID and similar features to unlock you just looking at the phone, and it works. It quite works. It's quite fast, to be honest. I also tried it with the OnePlus 8, and it's quite fast to use, but it seems to me I'm not very handy when you have your phone in your pocket and you want to unlock it quickly just to read notifications or quickly send a message and so on without moving up your phone. You can't do that except if you have a fingerprint sensor.
Yeah, so this is a Pixel 4, though, is the only one probably on Android that does face unlock the best. And so unfortunate Google is not continuing that, as we don't have that on either the 4A or the 5 or the 4A 5G. Now, Yannick, did you have any issues, with when you got started with your Android? Were there any areas of frustrations? Were there regrets and things like that? Or did you not quite experience
Mm,
such, letdowns, like people like to say?
frustration, yes, of course. Regrets, not really. I'm working as a developer, as an engineer, so I like to solve problems and I like to face difficulties in in computing. So when there's something that doesn't work, I'm happy to dive in and see if I can try to kind of find a workaround or find a real solution to it. And of course, there were some frustration in web browsing, for example. There were lots of frustrations until, would say, 1 year or two, from which Google decided and Talkback guys decided to dive in and to really improve the Google Chrome experience in browsing web content. Because before it was really a pain to do. You could do it with Firefox with special gestures, but sometimes it didn't work. And with Google Chrome, it was very sluggish, very slow. So yeah, that was one of my issue, I would say. I would say the only issue I still have is that, although it's being fixed soon, hopefully, is that the TalkBack Braille keyboard doesn't understand French currently, and I currently and to be honest, I truly don't know why, because it seems to me it's very easy to kind of add some French computer braille tables. So maybe I'm missing something. Maybe in the need to do some kind of more deep work to integrate that. And it seems now it understands English, Arabic, and I think it's Spanish, if I'm correct. Currently, we still back 991, but still don't understand French, and it frustrates me because unless I want to use commentary screen reader combined with advanced Braille keyboard, for example, which is very handy because commentary screen reader can auto disable when the ABK is in the foreground. So that's a very nice feature, but unfortunately, it's not available in TalkBack. This feature is kind of screen reader disabling feature when a specific app comes to the foreground. So currently, that would be one of my frustration. But except that, I don't think there are lots of frustrations. I also realized that Google made lots of improvements in Google Assistant, especially when you are connecting an headphone with your phone and when you want to long press the action button to listen to your notifications, listen to your messages, and maybe answer to them, even with the phone locked in your pockets. That's very handy.
But that's such a shame, though, because Braille started in France, and Google, how dare you
Yeah,
not include French on there? Come on, man.
I don't
I
know.
think it should be the first supported language as
Thank you.
an
Exactly
honor.
my point.
Well,
I was interested in what you said about fingerprint sensors, Yannick, and it's possibly a question for Warren for Austin as well. Do either of you bother with the on-screen fingerprint sensors that the Mariam as well, actually, with the Samsung? Do you bother with your on-screen fingerprint sensors where they exist?
Yeah, I use the display in display fingerprint sensor. The first time I was trying to use it, I was like very frustrated because that was the first time. I think it was mostly on OnePlus 6T, but then I got the OnePlus Nord, and then I started using that.
So you mean on my daily driver, it's a PCR 4A, so it's
so you've got a physical one, haven't you? But like on your OnePlus.
Oh yeah, it was a physical one. I tried to use a display sensor on the OnePlus 8, which I had for like about 2 weeks, so it's a very short period of time. So my opinion on this is not really clear because, of course, the learning curve is more important with such devices. So you have to remember exactly where to put on your finger to have this fingerprint triggered correctly and your phone unlocked properly. So there were lots of frustration on my side when using this OnePlus 8 display sensor, but they are from time to time they are making progress with the technology, and maybe they're on the nodes. It's better to it's easier to use as well as on Samsung devices as well, maybe.
What I find on the 8 was that for me, it was the setup that was really frustrating. It was much less forgiving on setup than it was when I actually tried to unlock it. I guess there's a muscle memory thing as well now. You know, I've been using the 8 for so long, I know where it is. On my Samsung, which really threw me, it's in a different position. So I have to remember when I've got different phones out and about where that fingerprint sensor is, and I'll try and unlock the Samsung phone with my finger where the sensor would be on the OnePlus 8, and then I realised and probably decided to use my face because I've lost the will to live, having failed to unlock my phone. But I do like the fact that, you know, with a bit of patience and muscle memory, they work. Clearly, I prefer a physical one, but if you do have an in-display sensor and haven't tried it, you know, you may find it's not for you, but give it a little go.
Yeah, I think it's worth trying it, to be honest, and do not, maybe if you guys have some in-display sensors, don't do like me. Don't don't act like me, like trying once and saying, oh no, it doesn't work, that stupid phone, let's get it back and take another one. Just try to be a little more patient, and certainly you will be succeeding eventually.
The other thing as well is ignore your manufacturer's advice, which is that if you propose to put a screen protector on, you should do your fingerprint gesture before you do that. You absolutely shouldn't. You need to train your fingerprint sensor, folks, with the screen protector on. Otherwise, you'll have a world of trouble. I don't know why various phone manufacturers say you should do it with the screen protector off. I mean, I'm sure the fingerprint does take more easily in setup, but you'll have way more problems trying to unlock your phone, training it in a different scenario to the scenario when you actually want to use it. It's mad.
That makes sense, Ed, because someone like me, whenever I get my phone, the first thing I want to do before I even set it up is put on the tempered glass. I never, ever have my phone without a tempered glass. So it doesn't matter what they say. If I get a phone that has an in-glass display, definitely that baby is going to have that tempered glass on right as soon as it gets out of that box. I slap that thing on before I even turn it on. I'm not going to take my phone out there naked. I'm sorry.
I do too.
I
do too.
Don't be sorry. It's the time to remind our listeners to not to forget that even if the manufacturer says that the phone is very resistant, that they kind of try to put it on the floor and jump on it, each device like this, like phone, like watches, like tablets, are fragile by default. And protect them if you want they last long.
Quite right. Sound advice. Yannick, that's been absolutely brilliant. Thanks very much for coming on to talk to us about your Android journey. That was fascinating.
My pleasure. It was very very good to be here.